The air in Tech Haven Electronics crackled with tension as store manager Brenda Whitmore loomed over the trembling child, her designer heels clicking like a countdown. "Save your lies, kid. That card's stolen and your little act won't work on me." She spat her French manicure flashing as she snatched the black Amex from 8-year-old Naomi Johnson's shaking hands. The fluorescent lights overhead made Naomi's sequined unicorn shirt shimmer as she hiccuped between sobs, her light-up sneakers flickering erratically like her fading courage. "Mommy said I could." "Mommy's not here to bail you out," Brenda interrupted, already dialing 911 with one blood-red nail. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd as bystanders became accidental witnesses. Near the VR demo station, a bearded tech bro muttered, "Jesus, Karen," just loud enough for his TikTok livestream to catch it. What none of them knew, what Brenda would discover in 19 agonizing minutes, was that Naomi's mother happened to be the CEO of the largest black-owned tech investment firm in Silicon Valley, and she just parked her Tesla Model X outside. Rewind 40 minutes, Naomi had skipped past the automatic doors, her braids bouncing with each step, clutching the card her mom let her use for one very special reason. Not just for the limited edition STEM tablet, but because today marked the anniversary of when they'd escaped her abusive father. The card represented safety, freedom, until Brenda saw a black child with plastic worth more than her monthly rent and made her snap judgment. "Funny how quick y'all assume theft when melanin's involved," came a voice like liquid steel from behind Brenda. The crowd parted like the Red Sea as Vanessa Johnson strode forward in a tailored pantsuit, her gold boss necklace catching the light. The security footage would later show Brenda's face draining of color as Vanessa coolly tapped her matching Amex on the counter. "Ring up whatever my daughter wants. Then I'll take your name, your supervisor's number, and 15 minutes of your manager's terrified stammering." Somewhere between Brenda's stuttered apology and Naomi picking out her tablet with tear-streaked triumph, the real lesson emerged. This wasn't about a credit card. It was about what happens when you mistake privilege for power and underestimate the quiet fury of a mother who's had to fight twice as hard for half as much. The video went viral before they even left the parking lot. Brenda Whitmore had spent 18 years at Tech Haven Electronics, each one carving another layer of bitterness into her soul. The divorce papers finalizing last month had been the final blow, leaving her with a half-empty McMansion and a 401k drained by her ex-husband's gambling. Every cheerful family that walked through those automatic doors felt like a personal insult, especially the black ones with their designer strollers and organic grocery bags. They had what she'd lost, and today she'd make one of them pay. Meanwhile, 12 miles away in a downtown high-rise, Vanessa Johnson was wrapping up a shareholder meeting when her Apple Watch buzzed with an alert card activity declined at Tech Haven. Her blood ran cold. That was Naomi's birthday present. The same card she'd given her daughter that morning with a kiss on the forehead and the words, "This is your freedom, baby girl." Just like the day we got ours. Back in the store, Dante Rodriguez, the assistant manager, watched Brenda's meltdown with growing unease. He recognized that look, the same one his racist uncle got before hurling slurs at Thanksgiving. But Dante needed this job. His wife was 7 months pregnant, and the medical bills were piling up. When Brenda snarled, "Call security, this kid's probably working with a shoplifting ring," Dante's fingers hovered over the phone. Then he noticed Naomi's shoes. The left one had stopped lighting up. That detail shattered something in him. Aubrey Simmons, the cashier, saw it too. She remembered her little brother's sneakers failing the same way after their power got cut last winter. Before she could stop herself, she blurted, "Ma'am, maybe we should check the cameras first." Brenda whirled on her. "You siding with thieves now, Aubrey." The threat hung in the air like smoke, and the glass doors hissed open. Vanessa entered like a storm front, her Louboutins striking the linoleum with the precision of gunfire. The crowd instinctively backed away, not from fear, but awe. This wasn't just a mother. This was the woman who'd sued the Pentagon for discrimination and won. Brenda's mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Here's what's going to happen," Vanessa said, voice glacial. You'll apologize to my daughter. Then you'll explain to every media outlet why your loss prevention strategy only seems to target brown children." She paused, letting the security cameras catch Brenda's flinch. "Oh, and Dante." The assistant manager jumped. "Your wife's delivery is covered. My foundation handles medical debt for employees who show integrity." Naomi, still clutching her dead sneaker, looked up at her mother and whispered, "They thought we were criminals." Vanessa knelt, cupping her daughter's face. "No, baby. They just forgot something important." She stood slowly locking eyes with Brenda. "The most dangerous thing in this world is a black woman who doesn't have to be kind." Somewhere in the crowd, a phone recorded the moment Brenda's career ended in 4K. Naomi's fingers traced the edge of the tablet case, her smile so bright it could have powered the entire store. Aubrey found herself grinning too until she heard the sharp click of Brenda's heels approaching. The air turned thick like the moment before a lightning strike. "Let me see that card," Brenda demanded, hand outstretched like a traffic cop. Naomi instinctively clutched the Amex tighter, the metal edge digging into her small palm. Aubrey opened her mouth to intervene, but Brenda cut her off with a glare that said, "Try it, and you're fired." Then came the twist no one expected. From the gaming section, a lanky teenager in a Black Lives Matter hoodie stepped forward. Yo Ms. Whitmore called Jamal Carter a regular who came in every Friday to check out new releases. He held up his phone screen, glowing with a live feed. "You know my stream's got 5K viewers right now, right?" His camera panned to Naomi's trembling lip, then to Brenda's outstretched hand. "Y'all seeing this?" Brenda froze. The color drained from her face as realization hit this wasn't just a store anymore. It was a courtroom, and America was the jury. Naomi, sensing the shift, straightened her spine. With a courage that belied her age, she recited the words her mother had drilled into her. "My name is Naomi Johnson. I have the right to make a purchase. If you're accusing me of something, call my mother." She rattled off Vanessa's number perfectly the same way other kids memorized nursery rhymes. Brenda's hand wavered. Behind her, Dante finally found his voice. "Ma'am, corporate policy says we—" "I know the damn policy." Brenda snapped, but the cracks in her armor were showing. Sweat beaded above her lip as Jamal's livestream notifications chimed relentlessly. Then the doors burst open. Not with Vanessa's calculated elegance this time, but with the chaotic energy of Naomi's 10-year-old brother Tyler. He'd sprinted 3 blocks from chess camp after getting his sister's panicked text. His backpack bounced wildly as he skidded to a stop, gasping, "Leave my sister alone." The sight of this scrawny kid, still wearing his tournament medal dress shirt, untucked, standing protectively in front of Naomi, broke something in the crowd. A woman in line dropped her items and started filming. An elderly man muttered, "Christ, they're just children." Brenda opened her mouth, but before she could speak, the store's phone rang. Dante answered, then went pale. It's corporate HR. They've been watching Jamal's stream." Naomi didn't smile, didn't gloat. She just reached for her brother's hand and whispered the truth that would haunt Brenda forever. "Mommy says people like her are scared, because one day the world won't let them be cruel anymore." Somewhere in the background, a single sneaker finally flickered back to life. Naomi's hands trembled as Brenda Whitmore examined the black Amex card like it was counterfeit money. The store had gone eerily quiet except for the hum of refrigerators keeping overpriced drinks cold. Then came the sound that shattered the tension, a loud snap as Brenda deliberately bent the card between her fingers. "Plastic this thick doesn't belong in kids' hands," Brenda sneered, tossing the now warped card onto the counter. Naomi gasped, tears welling up. That card wasn't just payment. It was the first thing her mother had trusted her with since they'd escaped the shelter. Across the store, Indigo Blackwell's maternal rage ignited. She marched forward, her 2 sons trailing behind like ducklings. "Give that child back her property," Indigo demanded, positioning herself between Naomi and Brenda. Her voice carried the authority of a public defender, which coincidentally she was. Brenda's smirk faltered when she noticed Indigo's Harvard Law lapel pin. "This doesn't concern you," she blustered, but the crowd was already shifting. The elderly man abandoned his headphones to stand near Naomi. The young couple started recording discreetly. Then came the twist no one saw coming. Naomi's pink phone buzzed to life with an incoming call. The screen flashed, "Mommy's assistant." But when she answered, it wasn't an assistant. It was Vanessa Johnson's voice booming through the speaker on maximum volume. "Put the manager on. Now." Brenda hesitated, but Jamal, still live-streaming, thrust his phone forward, showing Brenda her own face mirrored in thousands of angry comments scrolling by. With shaking hands, she took the phone. What happened next would be dissected in viral clips for weeks. Vanessa's voice turned lethally calm. "Ms. Whitmore, you just committed felony destruction of private property. That card is a corporate account linked to my daughter's trust fund." A pause. "But here's what really interests me. Why didn't you check the security footage before accusing an 8-year-old?" Silence. Because Brenda hadn't checked. Because she never did when the suspect was black. The young cashier, Aubrey, suddenly darted to the computer terminal. With 3 quick keystrokes, she pulled up footage of Naomi entering the store holding the card clearly visible in her tiny hand. The timestamp matched Vanessa's earlier alert. Over the phone, Vanessa delivered the killing blow. "My driver just pulled up. I suggest you have that card replaced and my daughter's tablet gift-wrapped by the time I walk in, unless you prefer to explain to the New York Times why your bias training certificates are dated 2009. Naomi, watching Brenda's face collapse, did something unexpected. She reached into her sparkly backpack and pulled out a crumpled drawing, a rainbow with "Thank you" in wobbly letters. She handed it to Aubrey. "For being nice," she whispered, just as the automatic doors hissed open. The last thing Brenda heard before Vanessa entered was Jamal's stream viewer count hitting 100K and his muttered commentary, "Y'all better screenshot this Karen's face. This the look of someone realizing they just got canceled by a second grader." Naomi's tears left dark spots on her unicorn shirt as the word "thief" echoed through the electronics store. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry hornets as Brenda Whitmore pulled out her phone to call security. But then, something extraordinary happened. Naomi's light-up sneakers, which had been flickering weakly, suddenly blazed to life in a rapid strobe pattern. It was the signal. From the back of the store, a towering figure in a Tech Haven polo shirt emerged, Marcus Johnson, the stock manager, who'd been silently restocking headphones this whole time. Marcus was 6'4", built like an NFL linebacker, and happened to be Naomi's godfather. He'd promised Vanessa he'd keep an eye out during Naomi's big shopping trip. "Ms. Whitmore." Marcus boomed, his deep voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "You might want to check your email." He held up his phone, displaying a freshly received message from corporate headquarters with the subject line, "Urgent review security footage immediately." Brenda's fingers trembled as she opened the message, only to find a video attachment showing Naomi entering the store card, clearly visible, waving at the security camera like the polite child she was. The timestamp proved everything. But the real gut punch came next. A notification popped up on every employee's store-issued tablet, simultaneously a company-wide alert from the CEO himself. Effective immediately, all loss prevention protocols require video verification before confronting minors. This policy change comes after disturbing reports from our Midtown location. The middle-aged man who'd supported Brenda earlier suddenly found his face inches from Jamal's camera. "Say hi to the internet, Karen Jr." Jamal smirked, zooming in as the man sputtered and backed away. Then came the sound that made Naomi's heart leap, the familiar chime of her mother's Tesla unlocking outside. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, everyone saw Vanessa Johnson stride toward the entrance, her designer heels striking the pavement like gavel blows. But she wasn't alone. Trailing behind her was a news crew from Channel 7 cameras already rolling. Naomi did something then that shocked everyone. She stopped crying. Wiping her face with the back of her hand, she looked Brenda dead in the eye and recited the words her mother had taught her for emergencies. "My name is Naomi Johnson. I am 8 years old. You have violated my civil rights under the 14th Amendment." The store erupted. Indigo Blackwell cheered so loud her sons jumped. Aubrey burst into tears of relief. Even Dante, the spineless assistant manager, started applauding. Only Brenda stood frozen, realizing too late that she hadn't just messed with any black child. She'd picked a fight with a future civil rights attorney and her mother, the woman who'd just made her unemployed on live television. As the automatic doors slid open, Vanessa's voice carried across the suddenly silent store, "Baby girl, point to the woman who needs to meet my lawyer." Naomi's finger didn't waver. Naomi's knees buckled as the weight of the adult's stares pressed down on her small frame. Her light-up sneakers, now flashing erratically like a distress signal, cast eerie shadows across the polished floor. Brenda Whitmore's lips curled into a triumphant sneer as she reached for the store intercom. "Security to front registers," she announced, her voice dripping with venom. "We have a shoplifting situation." Then the unthinkable happened. A piercing alarm blared through the store, not the standard security alert but the emergency lockdown tone reserved for active shooters. Every head snapped toward the sound system. Brenda froze her finger, still hovering over the intercom button she hadn't pressed. From the ceiling speakers came a voice that turned Naomi's sobs into gasps of recognition. "This is Vanessa Johnson. My daughter is being unlawfully detained at your Midtown location." The pre-recorded message continued crisp and legalistic, a failsafe Vanessa had installed in every tech haven after her own childhood experience with racial profiling. Per our civil rights agreement with this chain, activating this alert triggers immediate review by the Department of Justice. The crowd erupted. The same middle-aged man who'd accused Naomi earlier now shoved past Brenda to check the exits. Indigo Blackwell's legal training kicked in. She herded nearby children toward the stockroom, shouting, "Shelter in place," over the klaxon. Jamal's livestream viewership skyrocketed as viewers mistook the situation for an actual emergency. Brenda's face went sheet white when she realized Vanessa had weaponized corporate safety protocols against her. Then came the banging on the glass doors. Not police, but three of Tech Haven's top executives, their company badges visible as they struggled with the automatic locks Brenda's alert had sealed. The CEO himself, a silver-haired man in a $3,000 suit, mouthed unmistakable words through the glass, "You're finished." Naomi, still trembling, did something extraordinary. She reached into her sparkly backpack and pulled out a laminated card her mother had made her carry, a miniature version of their civil rights settlement with the retail chain. With tear-streaked determination, she held it up to Brenda's face so Jamal's camera could capture the text, "Any suspicion-based detention of a minor triggers automatic termination." The store's front display screen suddenly flickered to life, showing real-time footage from the security cameras, including Brenda's earlier confrontation with Naomi, playing on loop. Corporate had remotely taken control of the systems. As the executives finally burst in, Vanessa's Tesla screeched to a halt directly in front of the doors. But it wasn't just Vanessa who stepped out. It was a phalanx of black SUVs, disgorging civil rights attorneys, news crews, and most damningly Tech Haven's entire diversity oversight board. Naomi's final act of defiance came when she pointed not to Brenda, but to the store's "Zero Tolerance for Discrimination" poster behind the counter. Her small voice carried surprising clarity. "You lied." In the chaos, nobody noticed Brenda's security badge deactivating itself automatically, her employee privileges revoked in real time by a system she'd never realized was designed to protect children like Naomi from adults like her. The last thing recorded before police escorted Brenda out was Naomi still clutching her bent Amex card, whispering to the CEO as he knelt to apologize, "Does this mean I can still get my tablet?" The crowd's laughter at this innocent question masked a deeper truth. This child had just exposed an entire system's failures with more grace than any adult in the room. Naomi's small hand had barely brushed against Brenda Whitmore's sleeve when the world exploded in pain. The slap cracked through the store like a whip, snapping Naomi's head to the side. Her light-up sneakers skidded on the polished floor as she stumbled back, one strap of her overalls slipping off her shoulder. The red mark bloomed across her cheek like some grotesque badge of honor. For one heartbeat, there was perfect silence. Then, Marcus, Naomi's godfather, moved with the terrifying speed of a man who'd spent college playing defensive end. He caught Brenda's wrist mid-swing for a second strike, his grip so tight her watch face cracked against his palm. "Oh, no, you don't." He growled, his voice low enough that only the security cameras caught it. "That's my niece." The store erupted. A soccer mom dropped her caramel macchiato, the glass shattering as she lunged between Naomi and Brenda. "I'm a pediatric nurse," she barked, already examining Naomi's cheek with clinical precision. "We need ice and a witness statement now." But the real earthquake came from Jamal's live stream. His phone screen showed viewer numbers climbing at an impossible rate: 50,000, 100,000, 250,000, as the algorithm catapulted the assault into every trending feed. The comments scrolled too fast to read a blur of caps. Lock Fury. "Fire that bitch." "Where's the police?" "Someone protect that baby." Then came the sound no one expected: laughter. Naomi, still cradled in the nurse's arms, was giggling through her tears at something on the nurse's phone. With shaking hands, the woman turned the screen toward Brenda. It showed Vanessa Johnson's Instagram Live, currently broadcasting to 1.2 million followers, where Vanessa sat calmly in a leather chair beside Tech Haven's CEO, both watching the same footage unfolding in real time. "Ms. Whitmore," the CEO said through gritted teeth, his face pixelated on the small screen, "you're aware our anti-discrimination policy has a zero-tolerance clause for physical contact, correct?" Brenda's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Behind her, every employee tablet in the store lit up simultaneously with termination notices. The system had auto-fired her before corporate could even press send. But the knockout punch came from an unexpected corner. Tyler, Naomi's brother, had been quietly typing on his kid-sized smartwatch this whole time. Now, the store's display TVs flickered to life, showing security footage from 15 minutes earlier, Brenda happily approving a white teenager's purchase of $2,000 worth of gaming gear with no ID check. The timestamp proved it happened while she was accusing Naomi. The crowd's roar shook the shelves. A wall-mounted iPad displayed the NYPD's official Twitter account replying to Jamal's stream, "Officers en route. Stay recording." As the first sirens wailed in the distance, Naomi did something that would cement this moment in internet history. Still sniffling, she reached into her overalls pocket and pulled out the bent Amex card. With the solemnity of a queen bestowing knighthood, she handed it to the nurse. "Can you buy my tablet now?" she asked. "Mommy says heroes get discounts." The video of that moment, the swollen cheek, the hopeful eyes, the way the nurse burst into tears while swiping the card, would become the most shared post in Tech Haven's history. By the time Vanessa arrived, Brenda was already in the back of a squad car, and Naomi was sitting on the counter eating a free ice cream sandwich, her new tablet playing a Know Your Rights cartoon on loop. The last frame millions would see that night, Naomi pressing her ice-cold spoon against her bruised cheek while waving at Brenda through the police car window. Not in anger, but with the gentle pity reserved for someone who just lost everything because they couldn't fathom that a black child deserved kindness. Aubrey's arms tightened around Naomi as the little girl's tears soaked through her Tech Haven vest. The smell of bubblegum shampoo and salt water filled her nose. This child still used the same strawberry detangler her little sister loved. Behind them, the security guard Phoenix stood, frozen, his training manual offering no protocol for when your manager becomes the threat. Then came the sound that changed everything, a sharp click as Aubrey's name tag hit the floor. She scooped Naomi up the child's legs, wrapping around her waist instinctively. "I quit," Aubrey announced loud enough for every phone camera to catch. "And so should anyone with a soul." The dominoes fell fast after that. Phoenix unhooked his security badge and dropped it at Scarlett's feet. "My nephew's about her age," he said quietly, nodding to Naomi. "Ain't no paycheck worth this." One by one, employees peeled off their uniforms, the stock boy, the greeter, even the Starbucks barista in the corner kiosk. The store's intercom crackled to life unexpectedly as a warehouse worker's voice boomed. "Y'all hearin' this? We walkin' out." Scarlett's face twisted in fury. "You'll all be fired," she shrieked, but her voice cracked when she realized the store cameras were now broadcasting her meltdown to corporate HQ. The middle-aged woman who'd supported her earlier suddenly ducked into an aisle pretending to examine headphones as the crowd turned. Then Jamal's voice cut through the chaos. "Yo, check the door." Every head swiveled to see two figures entering. One was Vanessa Johnson, her normally impeccable bun half falling loose from what must have been a frantic drive. The other was a silver-haired black man in a police chief's uniform, his gold badge catching the light. "Chief Reynolds?" Scarlett gasped, recognizing the city's first black police chief from last year's diversity training. The training she'd skipped. Vanessa didn't even look at Scarlett. She just opened her arms. "Baby girl," she called softly, and Naomi launched herself across the store like a comet, her light-up sneakers leaving temporary constellations on the tile. What happened next unfolded with cinematic precision. Chief Reynolds cuffed Scarlett while reading her Miranda rights over the sound of cheering customers. The barista started passing out free Justice lattes. And Jamal's live stream hit 1 million views just as Vanessa knelt to examine Naomi's cheek, her voice carrying clearly. "Remember what I told you about Bully Sunshine?" Naomi nodded, wiping snot on her sleeve. "They always, she hiccuped, always lose in the end." Vanessa pressed their foreheads together. "And what do we do when we see someone being treated unfairly?" This time, Naomi's answer came clear and strong, echoing through the silent store. "We be the helpers." A single clap started near the gaming section, indigo Blackwell tears streaking her flawless makeup. Then another, and another, until the entire store thundered with applause, drowning out Scarlett's sobs as Chief Reynolds led her away. The final shot, millions would see Naomi back in her mother's arms, waving goodbye to the employees' discarded uniforms piled like a monument by the door, a silent testament to the day ordinary people chose extraordinary courage. Naomi's tiny fingers trembled so violently that Aubrey had to steady the phone for her. The dial tone seemed deafening in the sudden hush that fell over the store. Even Scarlett paused mid-911 call when she heard the faint ringing. Then, like a miracle, the line connected. "Mommy!" Naomi's voice was barely a whisper, but the entire store heard the answering scream of brakes outside. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, everyone saw the matte black Tesla skid to a stop diagonally across two parking spaces, doors flying open before the car fully settled. Vanessa Johnson didn't run. She moved like a force of nature, her silk blouse billowing behind her as she crossed the pavement in 6 lethal strides. The automatic doors hadn't fully opened when she was already inside, her sharp gasp at the sight of Naomi's swollen cheek echoing like a gunshot. Then came the voice. Not the polished boardroom tone from her TED Talks, not the patient mama bear voice from school pickup. This was something primal, the voice of a woman who'd clawed her way from Section 8 housing to the Forbes list and would burn the world down for her child. "Who touched my daughter?" The crowd parted like the Red Sea. Scarlett actually took a step back, her 911 call forgotten as the dispatcher's tinny, "Ma'am, ma'am," squawked from her abandoned phone. Vanessa didn't wait for an answer. She was already crouched before Naomi, her manicured hands the same ones that signed 8-figure deals, gently tilting her daughter's face toward the light. The red mark stood out like a brand against Naomi's dark skin. A new sound cut through the tension, the staccato click of dress shoes. Dante Rodriguez Tech, Haven's regional manager, not just assistant manager anymore, thank you very much, had arrived for his surprise store inspection at the worst possible moment. His custom loafers squeaked to a stop as he took in the scene, his star employee disheveled and weeping, a viral live stream capturing everything, and oh God, Vanessa Johnson, rising slowly to her full height. "Miss Johnson," Dante croaked, recognizing the tech mogul from last year's Diversity and Leadership Summit. "I assure you, Teak Haven has zero tolerance for—" "Save it." Vanessa didn't even look at him. She was too busy studying Scarlett with the detached focus of a surgeon assessing a tumor. "You struck a child who weighs less than your purse." Her voice dropped to something terrifyingly calm. "Let's see how you handle someone your own size." That's when the cameras caught it, the exact moment Scarlett realized her mistake. Not when she hit Naomi. not when she called the police. But right now, seeing Vanessa's diamond-crusted watch glint as she pulled a business card from her blazer. Chief Reynolds. Vanessa spoke into her phone, never breaking eye contact with Scarlett. Yes, we'll press charges. Also, please alert the SEC. I believe Tech Haven stock is about to have complications. Dante made a noise like a deflating balloon. Across the store, someone's phone pinged with a Bloomberg alert. Nightingale Capital begins emergency sell-off of Tech Haven shares. Naomi, still clutching Aubrey's hand, did something then that would break the internet's heart. She reached into her sparkly backpack and pulled out a slightly crumpled drawing, a stick-figure family with a smiling sun. Without a word, she offered it to Scarlett. The caption, written in wobbly crayon, read, "Why can't we all be nice?" For the first time, Scarlett's face flickered with something resembling shame. But it was too late. The police sirens wailed in the distance, Jamal's live stream hit 2 million viewers, and Vanessa was already leading Naomi toward the door, pausing only to tell Dante, "The only thing leaving this store with my daughter is every security footage hard drive. Your lawyers can bill mine." As they stepped into the sunlight, Naomi's sneakers miraculously lit up one last time, painting rainbow reflections on the pavement as she whispered, "Can we still get ice cream? Mommy." The video of Vanessa's choked laugh, equal parts fury and love, would become the most shared moment of the entire saga. Because America recognized that sound. It was the sound of every black mother who'd ever had to comfort a child through injustice, while silently plotting to dismantle the system that allowed it. Margaret's stiletto heels barely touched the marble floors as she sprinted down the executive hallway, the phone still pressed to her ear. "Zara, baby, stay on the line," she panted, bursting through the boardroom doors with enough force to send papers flying. The PowerPoint presentation froze mid-slide, $2.3 billion merger terms blinking obliviously as every suited head swiveled toward the interruption. Celeste Nightingale's chair hit the wall before Margaret finished speaking. The CEO's diamond-studded watch caught the light as she snatched the phone, her voice dropping to something that made the CFO instinctively reach for his stress ball. "Sunshine, show me your face." A hush fell as Celeste's phone screen lit up with a FaceTime image of Zara's tear-streaked cheek, the angry mark visible even through pixelated video. The boardroom's temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. "Margaret." Celeste said so quietly the lawyers had to lean in, "Activate Protocol Starlight." Gasps rippled through the room. Starlight was Nightingale Enterprises' nuclear option, the emergency measure that simultaneously froze all company assets, dispatched private security, and alerted their crisis PR team. It had never been used outside of attempted hostile takeovers. Celeste was already shrugging into her coat when her general counsel grabbed her arm. "Celeste, the SEC filing—" "Will, wait." She shook him off, eyes locked on the live feed where Scarlett could be heard yelling about disruptive children. Then came the sound that sealed Scarlett's fate, Zara's whimper as someone jostled her injured cheek. Celeste's knuckles went white around her keys. "Tell legal I want every camera feed from that store before the police arrive. And someone call Mayor Jeffries, remind him who funded his youth initiative last election." As the elevator doors closed, the boardroom erupted into chaos. The youngest associate, a Howard grad named Jamal, no relation to the live streamer, pulled up Jamal's viral feed on the conference screen. There, in horrifying HD, was Zara, her light-up sneakers smudged, one strap of her overalls dangling, clutching Aubrey like a lifeline, while Scarlett ranted to 911 operators. Back at Tech Haven, the first police cruiser screeched to a halt just as Naomi's mother's Tesla swerved into the fire lane. But it wasn't Vanessa who emerged first. It was a massive figure in a Nightingale security jacket who moved like a linebacker towards Scarlett. "Ma'am." Officer Gutierrez began, hand-hovering near her taser as she took in the scene. "We received a report about—" "That child is a thief!" Scarlett shrieked, pointing at Naomi. The officer's eyebrows shot up when she saw Naomi's swollen face. She knelt slowly, her voice softening. "Honey, who hit you?" Naomi didn't get to answer, because at that moment every phone in the store buzzed simultaneously with a breaking news alert. Nightingale Enterprises halts $450 deal with Tech Haven, parent company citing ethical concerns. Scarlett's face went slack as realization dawned. The cop's radio crackled to life. Unit 12. Be advised we have Nightingale legal team en route with warrants for security footage. And then, as if scripted by karma itself, Celeste's voice rang out from the entrance crisp as a gunshot. Officer, I believe you have my daughter's assailant in custody. The last thing viewers saw before Jamal's stream cut out was Naomi sprinting toward her mother, her sneakers casting disco ball reflections across the walls, her arms outstretched not in anger, but for the comfort only a mother can provide. And Scarlett. She finally understood the truth her prejudice had blinded her to. Some battles aren't fought with slaps or screams, but with the quiet, unshakable power of a mother's love and a CEO's contacts. The squad car doors hadn't fully opened when Celeste Nightingale reached into her Birkin bag and produced a titanium business card holder. With the precision of a prosecutor entering evidence, she slid a black Amex card identical to Naomi's across the nearest display case. It came to rest directly beneath the security camera. Officers. Celeste said, her voice carrying the weight of a woman who'd testified before Congress. This woman assaulted my daughter after falsely accusing her of theft. That card is linked to my daughter's trust fund, which she has full legal access to. She paused just long enough for the officers to process the Centurion logo. I believe you'll find all relevant footage has already been uploaded to the cloud by my legal team. Scarlett's smirk faltered when Officer Gutierrez, a Latina woman with "Serve and Protect" tattooed on her wrist, snapped her gloves on with deliberate slowness. Ma'am, the officer said, turning to Scarlett, you want to explain why we have video of you striking a minor? The crowd erupted as Jamal's live stream captured Scarlett's realization dawning. In real time, her eyes darting between Celeste's custom Louboutins, the police body cams, and the store's security cameras now blinking with unusual red lights. Then came the twist no one expected. A teenage employee from the repair counter stepped forward holding out an iPad. Chief, he stammered, addressing the silver-haired police supervisor who'd just entered. We got this delivery for Ms. Nightingale 5 minutes ago. The screen showed a frozen video call with 3 men in suits, the CEO of Tech Haven's parent company, their general counsel, and a man whose face Scarlett recognized from Forbes's Most Powerful Attorneys list. The timestamp read, Recording in progress. 2:33 p.m. Celeste didn't even glance at the screen. Ah, yes, she said, adjusting Naomi's crooked hair bow. My legal department's courtesy call to inform Tech Haven they're being dropped from our supplier diversity program. Effective immediately. A collective gasp rippled through the store. That program accounted for 40% of Tech Haven's annual revenue. Scarlett finally found her voice. You can't. Oh, but we can, interrupted a new voice. The crowd parted to reveal Marcus Johnson, Naomi's godfather, and as the cameras now showed, Nightingale Enterprises' head of global security. He held up a tablet displaying a real-time stock ticker. Tech Haven's shares were in freefall, down 19% in pre-market trading. Naomi, sensing the shift, tugged her mother's sleeve. Mommy! She whispered loud enough for nearby mics to catch. Does this mean I still get my tablet? The tension shattered like glass. Even the stone-faced cops cracked smiles as Celeste kissed her daughter's forehead. Better sunshine. She nodded toward Marcus, who produced a sleek device from his briefcase, the unreleased Nightingale Jr. tablet engraved with Naomi's name. Prototype version, Celeste murmured, with extra parental controls after today. As officers led Scarlett away, her final protest, I was just doing my job, was drowned out by spontaneous applause. The last shot viewers saw before Jamal's stream ended was Naomi happily drawing on her new tablet, the bruises on her cheek already fading, as Celeste quietly told the officers, I'll want copies of all reports. We're setting up a legal fund for families who experience this customer service. Oh, the unspoken message hung in the air like smoke. This wasn't revenge. It was reform. And Scarlett Ashford had just become the unwilling face of corporate America's reckoning with racial bias, all because she'd underestimated an 8-year-old girl and the mother who moved mountains for her. The store's fluorescent lights flickered as if even the building itself was recoiling from Scarlett's words. Officer Rodriguez's pen froze mid-note, his head snapping up in disbelief. Nearby, Jamal's livestream comments exploded with a flurry of, "Did she really just say that?" as viewers worldwide collectively gasped. Celeste Nightingale didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. The way she slowly removed her sunglasses, revealing eyes like polished onyx, made the air itself feel heavier. "Let me clarify something, Ms. Ashford." She knelt to Zara's level, smoothing her daughter's hair with deliberate tenderness before standing again. "Are you suggesting it would be acceptable to strike someone else's child? That the only mistake here was not realizing my net worth first?" A choked sound came from Dante, who was now gripping a display case for support. The young cashier, Aubrey, still cradling Zara's abandoned birthday tablet, suddenly spoke up. "Ma'am, I have the security footage queued." She tapped her screen, showing Scarlett's slap in crystal-clear HD from 3 different camera angles. Officer Rodriguez's radio crackled to life. "Unit 12. Be advised, Nightingale Legal just forwarded video evidence to dispatch. DA's office is requesting scene preservation." Scarlett's mouth opened, but before she could speak, the store's back exit burst open. A harried-looking man in a Tech Haven polo rushed forward, his ID badge swinging Regional VP. He took one look at Celeste and paled. "Miss Nightingale, I came as soon as—" "Ah, Robert." Celeste's smile could have flash-frozen the Sahara. "Perfect timing. I believe your employee was just explaining why my daughter deserved to be assaulted for shopping while black." Robert's Adam's apple bobbed violently. Across the room, Dante made the sign of the cross. Then came the sound that would echo across social media for weeks, the metallic snick of Officer Rodriguez's handcuffs unlocking. "Scarlett Ashford, you're under arrest for misdemeanor battery of a minor." As the cuffs closed around Scarlett's wrists, her designer watch caught the light, the same watch she'd bragged about buying with last quarter's bonus from Nightingale Real Estate's rental profits. Zara, watching from the safety of her mother's arms, suddenly tugged Celeste's sleeve. "Mommy," she whispered loudly, "does this mean we have to fire Santa too?" The absurdity shattered the tension. Even the cops coughed to hide laughter as Celeste blinked in confusion. Aubrey held up the tablet screen showing the store's holiday display featuring a photo of Scarlett in a Santa hat from last December's charity drive. "She played Mrs. Claus at our toy giveaway." Aubrey explained, her voice thick with irony. The final shot viewers saw before Jamal's stream ended was Celeste scooping Zara into her arms, her reply carrying the weight of 1,000 boardroom decisions. No more Santa's sunshine, just justice. As officers led Scarlett away, her shrill protests about political correctness faded into the parking lot, drowned out by the sudden blare of construction vehicles arriving. Nightingale Real Estate's demolition team, as it turned out, had been scheduled to remodel the store next week. Someone had just moved up the timeline. Celeste's manicured nail tapped once, just once, against the security monitor. The sound echoed like a judge's gavel. "Robert," she said, her gaze never leaving Dante's trembling face, "are you really suggesting we internally handle a felony assault on my child that's currently trending worldwide?" She gestured to Jamal's livestream, where viewer counts now topped 3 million. Dante's phone buzzed violently on the counter. The caller ID displayed Tech Haven HQ, emergency. Before he could answer, Celeste plucked it from his hands and put it on speaker. "Danforth here," barked the voice of Tech Haven's CEO. "What the hell is happening at our Midtown location? Our stock just— Ein, Mr. Danforth." Celeste interrupted, her tone polished as a courtroom attorney's. "Celeste Nightingale speaking. I believe you'll find our contract's morality clause quite clear about violent employees." A beat of silence, then the sound of papers shuffling frantically on the other end. Christ, the slap video. Danforth's voice dropped to a whisper. Celeste let me send our jet to... Too late. Celeste watched as officers escorted Scarlett past the displays of discounted smartwatches, the same watches that would soon bear 50% off liquidation stickers. I've already instructed my real estate division to terminate your lease. You have 72 hours to vacate all Nightingale properties. The gasps from employees were drowned out by Danforth's strangled, but we have 18 locations in your... And now you have 17. Celeste ended the call and turned to Officer Rodriguez. Officer, does your precinct still participate in that youth tech initiative? As the cop nodded, Celeste gestured to the store's inventory. Nightingale Enterprises will be donating all this equipment to community centers. Consider it restorative justice. Zara, who'd been quietly drawing on her new tablet, suddenly held up the screen. Look. Mommy. The child had used the art app to create a colorful flowchart titled How to Not Be Mean, with arrows pointing to choices like Believe Kids and Don't Hit. The contrast between Zara's innocent solution and the corporate earthquake her mother had just unleashed wasn't lost on the crowd. A single chuckle broke the tension, then another until even the stone-faced cops were hiding smiles. But Celeste wasn't done. From her briefcase, she produced a single sheet of paper bearing the Nightingale Enterprises letterhead. Aubrey, was it? She handed it to the stunned cashier. This guarantees full tuition at any state university for you and your siblings. Consider it hazard pay for being the only adult here who acted like one. As the officers led Scarlett to the squad car, one final twist unfolded. A news van screeched into the parking lot, followed by a sleek black sedan. Out stepped a woman with a familiar face, the state attorney general Celeste's former law school roommate. Celeste, the AG called, adjusting her suit jacket. I hear we have a civil rights case to discuss. Scarlett's wail of protest was cut off by the slam of the patrol car door. Through the window, she could see Celeste hugging Zara while simultaneously shaking the AG's hand, a perfect snapshot of maternal love and corporate vengeance intersecting. The last thing Scarlett saw before the car pulled away. The Tech Haven logo being taken down from the storefront and Zara's How to Not Be Mean drawing taped proudly in its place. The store's automatic doors hissed open again, but this time, it wasn't just Celeste's security detail entering, it was a procession that would make a president jealous. 6 former Secret Service agents flanked a silver-haired man whose tailored suit cost more than Scarlett's annual salary. Charles Whitmore, Nightingale Enterprises' chief legal officer and the attorney who'd dismantled entire conglomerates. Charles, Celeste said, without turning her eyes, still fixed on the regional manager's trembling voice through the phone speaker, draft termination notices for every Tech Haven executive who ever promoted Scarlett. Backdate the property lease violations to last fiscal year. Whitmore didn't blink. Already done. The Wall Street Journal has the press release. He handed Celeste a tablet showing Tech Haven's stock in freefall, down 28% since the slap video hit Twitter. Outside, the SUV's doors opened again, revealing an unexpected figure, a petite woman in a neon-pink pantsuit, her press badge glinting. Lena Cho from Channel 7 News, she announced, microphone already live. Ms. Nightingale, any comment on the viral video of your daughter being... Celeste's security team moved to block her, but Zara suddenly wriggled free from her mother's grip. Still clutching her new tablet, the little girl marched up to the reporter and held up her drawing, the How to Not Be Mean flowchart, now upgraded with glitter stickers. My mommy says grown-ups should use their words, Zara announced solemnly. The camera zoomed in on her artwork where she'd added a new box, Step 5, Say Sorry for Hitting. The reporter's professionally composed face melted. Sweetheart, what would you like to say to the woman who hurt you? Zara thought hard, then tapped her tablet. A pre-recorded child's voice played through its speakers, Be better. The simplicity of it cut through the corporate theatrics like a knife. Celeste's phone chose that moment to ring the distinctive chime of her board's emergency line. She answered on speaker, Nightingale. Celeste, it's Margaret. Her assistant's voice was tight with urgency. The governor's office is calling. They want to discuss fast-tracking your Child Consumer Protection Act." A murmur rippled through the crowd. The CCP Act, nicknamed Zara's Law in early drafts, would mandate racial bias training for all retail employees nationwide. Celeste's smile was all teeth. "Tell them I'll take the call after my daughter picks out her birthday present." She nodded to Aubrey, who immediately started boxing up the entire STEM tablet display. "The purple one, too, sweetie?" Aubrey asked Zara, who nodded vigorously. As officers loaded Scarlett into the squad car, one final twist unfolded. A deliveryman pushed through the crowd with an enormous bouquet, not flowers but lollipops shaped like justice scales. The card read, "From the DA's office. We'll take it from here." The last thing Scarlett saw before the police car door closed, Zara happily licking a lollipop while Celeste shook hands with the Attorney General, their shadows stretching long across the parking lot, two powerful women ensuring no child would ever again feel small in a store. And on the Tech Haven marquee, someone had already replaced the letters to spell "Closed for renovations" under new management. The automatic doors slid open to reveal a scene Scarlett Ashford could never have imagined: a gauntlet of flashing cameras, outraged protesters with "Justice for Zara" signs, and news helicopters circling overhead. The once powerful store manager now shrank between the officers, her designer blazer wrinkled from the handcuffs, her face a mask of dawning horror as she realized this wasn't just an arrest. It was a reckoning. Celeste's voice cut through the chaos one final time. "Officers, a moment." She stepped forward, Zara's small hand clasped firmly in hers. The crowd fell silent as the billionaire CEO knelt to her daughter's level. "Sunshine," she said softly, "this woman hurt you. Would you like to tell her how that made you feel?" Zara studied Scarlett with the unflinching gaze only children possess. Then she reached into her sparkly backpack and pulled out a crumpled piece of construction paper, a drawing of two stick figures, one tall with angry scribbles for hair, one small with tears on its round face. At the bottom, in wobbly letters, it read, "Grown-ups should know how to love better." The raw simplicity of it hit like a gut punch. Reporters surged forward, cameras zooming in on the artwork that would soon become a symbol of the movement. Scarlett opened her mouth, but no sound came out, her excuses dying in her throat, as Zara turned the paper over to reveal a second message, "But I forgive you anyway." Even the hardened cops blinked rapidly. Celeste squeezed her daughter's shoulder before standing to face Scarlett with glacial precision. "My child can offer grace. I cannot." She nodded to her legal team, who began distributing press packets stamped with the Nightingale Enterprises logo. "By close of business today, we'll be filing one civil suit for intentional infliction of emotional distress, one criminal complaint for child endangerment, and—" She paused as Charles Whitmore handed her another document. "Ah, yes, a petition to revoke your retail management certification permanently." As the officers led Scarlett toward the squad car, a new sound emerged, the rhythmic clapping of Malik Carter, the teen from Jamal's live stream, slowly building into a thunderous ovation. The crowd's chant of "Zara, Zara" shook the pavement beneath their feet. But the true mic drop came from an unexpected source. Zara's tablet, still connected to the store's display screen, suddenly activated a pre-recorded video message from Vanessa Johnson's foundation. The words, "Nightingale Initiative for Fair Retail Practices," flashed across every monitor, followed by a montage of Black children sharing their experiences of being followed in stores. The kicker. Each story ended with the same phrase Zara had drawn: "We just wanted to feel welcome." Scarlett's final glimpse before the squad car door closed was of Celeste lifting Zara onto her shoulders, the little girl's light-up sneakers glowing like twin beacons in the gathering dusk as protesters began taping copies of Zara's drawing to every storefront window in the plaza. The last thing she heard, a news anchor's excited commentary: "This, just in Nightingale Enterprises, announces all their properties will host Zara's Day every August 8th, requiring anti-bias training for retail staff nationwide." Somewhere in the back seat of that police car, between the clinking of her handcuffs and the wail of the siren, Scarlett Ashford finally understood she hadn't just slapped a child. She'd slapped awake a sleeping giant, and the world would remember Zara's name long after hers was forgotten. The ice cream shop's jukebox switched to a hopeful melody as Celeste pulled out her tablet showing Zara the first draft of what would become historic legislation. See this sunshine. She zoomed in on a cartoon illustration of a brown-skinned girl with light-up sneakers clearly modeled after Zara standing proudly beside a list of new rules. Because of what happened to you, no kid will ever feel that scared in a store again. Zara traced her finger over the screen, pausing at Protocol 3. Employees must verbally affirm children's purchases, "Great choice," before asking any questions. Her nose scrunched in confusion. "But Mommy, why didn't the lady just say that to me?" The simplicity of the question hung in the air. Aubrey, who'd been quietly scooping melted ice cream back into Zara's bowl, suddenly spoke up. "Because grown-ups forget how powerful words are." She tapped her new manager name tag. "That's why your mom's making us all go back to school, even the bosses." Outside, the streets were alive with an impromptu block party. Protest signs had transformed into celebratory banners reading, "Zara's Law Passed," as local news crews interviewed beaming families. Jamal's little sister pressed her face against the window. "Look, they painted your picture on the wall." And there it was, a vibrant mural taking shape across the former Tech Haven storefront. The artist had enlarged Zara's "How to Not Be Mean," drawing into a 20-foot masterpiece complete with a new addition, a diverse group of stick-figure children holding hands beneath a rainbow that spelled "Be the Helper." Celeste's phone buzzed with a notification the governor had signed Zara's law into effect, making the protocols a statewide policy. But the real victory came when Zara, inspired by the mural, dug through her backpack and produced a crumpled permission slip. "Mommy, can we use my birthday money instead? For kids who don't have tablets." The ice cream shop erupted in applause as Celeste blinked back tears. In that moment, amidst the sticky tables and melting desserts, the most powerful CEO in the state found herself humbled by an 8-year-old's generosity. Absolutely sunshine. She pulled Zara into a hug, whispering into her curls, "You know what this means, right? You just became the youngest philanthropist in Nightingale Foundation history." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the mural in golden light, the shop's TV displayed a final headline, "From Trauma to Transformation: How One Child's Ordeal Changed a Nation." The camera panned to the hundreds of light-up sneakers twinkling at the protest-turned party, each pair a beacon of hope, each step forward proof that even the darkest prejudices couldn't dim the light of one brave girl. And somewhere in the crowd, a reformed Scarlett Ashford, now working at a nonprofit as part of her plea deal, watched silently as Zara cut the ribbon on the new community center, her once hurtful handprint forever memorialized in the artwork as a reminder, even the deepest marks can become masterpieces. The launch party for the Kindness app transformed the former Tech Haven into a wonderland of child-sized empowerment. Balloons shaped like Zara's light-up sneakers floated above coding stations where kids designed their own anti-bullying emojis. At the center of it all stood Zara, now 9 years old, demonstrating her app's signature feature, shaking the phone to make virtual helper stars appear, each representing a nearby safe adult. "Watch this," she told a group of wide-eyed second graders pressing the app's sunshine icon. Instantly, the mural behind them illuminated with projected messages from supporters worldwide. "Be brave like Zara," from a girl in Detroit. "You matter," from a teacher in Seoul. Indigo Blackwell. Now the app's director of community safety wiped her eyes as she watched Zara explain the emergency recording function. "This button sends the video straight to your mommy and saves it in the cloud. That means nobody can delete it." The children erupted in cheers, their tiny thumbs practicing the motions. Meanwhile, Celeste observed from the sidelines with Charles Whitmore. "Legal cleared the patent. she asked, watching Zara high-five a boy in a wheelchair who'd suggested vibration alerts for hearing-impaired users. Filed under Zara Nightingale, age 9. Charles confirmed, smiling. Though I should warn you, the Silicon Valley vultures are already circling. They're calling this the most disruptive social justice tech since body cams. Celeste's smirk held all the satisfaction of a queen protecting her cub. Let them circle. This empire isn't for sale. The celebration took an unexpected turn when a familiar face appeared. Aubrey Now, Nightingale Properties' youngest regional manager, leading a group of retail employees in matching Zara's Helpers shirts. Surprise, she announced, unveiling the first physical kindness kiosk, a brightly colored station where kids could charge devices, contact guardians, or simply sit when feeling overwhelmed in stores. But the true showstopper came via video call. The screen flickered to life, showing a classroom of scholarship recipients, the first cohort of Zara's 1,000, holding up handmade thank you cards. One teen stepped forward, her voice cracking, "Ms. Nightingale, your daughter's story got me into Stanford. Now I'm building an AI that detects bias in school security footage." Zara, usually shy in the spotlight, grabbed the microphone. "That's perfect. Next version of our app needs that." The room burst into laughter as Celeste mouthed, "I'll call legal to Charles." As the party wound down, Zara curled up in the store's redesigned reading nook, the very spot where Scarlett had accused her, now transformed into a cozy fort with pillows shaped like justice scales. She tapped her tablet one last time, activating the app's hidden feature, a heart animation that pulsed to the rhythm of her own heartbeat, along with the words, "You are brave. You are loved." Outside, the renamed Zara's Place sign glowed against the twilight, its letters powered by solar panels shaped like what else light-up sneakers. And somewhere in the crowd, if you looked closely, you might have spotted a woman in a Witness and Act shirt, her face partly hidden by sunglasses, placing a single white lily by the door before melting into the night. The flower's tag read simply, "Thank you for the lesson." No signature needed. Some transformations speak for themselves. The final chapter of Zara's story unfolded not with fanfare but in quiet moments that rippled across the world. On the second anniversary of the slap scene round the world, as news outlets now called it, a bronze statue was unveiled outside what had once been Tech Haven. Not of Celeste in her power suit, nor of Zara as a victim, but of a faceless child holding up a tablet that displayed a single word, "Why?" Tourists came to take selfies, but it was the school groups that mattered most. Class after class of wide-eyed children tracing their fingers over the plaque that read, "Speak up, record, be the helper." Teachers reported the statue's shadow, which fell across the sidewalk at exactly 3:15 p.m. each day, had become sacred ground where bullied kids would stand to find courage. Meanwhile, in a nondescript Silicon Valley office, the original Kindness app team, now 30 employees strong, watched their user counter tick past 5 million. The latest update included a feature Zara had insisted on. When the emergency record button was pressed, the app automatically played her voice saying, "You're not alone, I believe you." Back at Nightingale Enterprises, Celeste kept a framed screenshot in her office the exact moment Zara's app had alerted authorities to save a deaf boy from abusive foster parents. Beneath it, written in her daughter's handwriting, "This is why we don't give up." As for Scarlett, she eventually found work not in retail, but as a cautionary tale. Her court-mandated community service brought her face-to-face with Zara's legacy at a youth center, where she watched a group of black girls giggle over the app's newest feature, shaking their phones to make virtual karma points rain down on bullies' profiles. On the train home that night, Scarlett spotted a familiar face. Indigo Blackwell, now a state senator, reading a newspaper headlined, "Zara's Law Expands Nationwide." Their eyes met briefly before Indigo returned to her paper, leaving Scarlett to sit with the weight of her choices as the train rattled past billboards advertising the Kindness app's global launch. The story's true epilogue came on Zara's 18th birthday, when she stood before the UN, not as a victim, but as the youngest recipient of the Global Citizen Award. Her speech, broadcast worldwide, contained just 9 words. "Be the adult you needed when you were small." And in that moment, somewhere in America, a child pressed a courage button and found Zara's light still shining.